I need some water.
Welcome back to Serial, a true crime podcast. We're based on one murder that lasted an entire season. We're here with Ron Burgundy.
Oh, jeez.
Man, is that podcast not a heaping pile of shit or what? Have you tried listening to that yet?
I don't think so.
Ew, it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Pretty rough.
Ooh. Ooh, you listen to your phone, getting in there a little bit.
I don't know if it's my phone or what it is. I'm hearing little scribblies,
Little crackles.
little snap crackle popples.
It's okay.
This is the Brohio podcast. I'm the delicious Nicolicious.
And I am Rob Dog. Hi.
We have a new audio setup.
Working on it.
Again,
It's fun looking.
not sure if it's going to work. You can see it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I don't know.
Busy.
It might not work. This
It is.
episode might be for naught.
We may be doing this for no reason.
This could be the biggest heaping, stinking pile of shit that we've ever done in our entire life.
At least we just get to pretty much talk to ourselves then.
Yeah.
Yay.
I would like to say thank you to our new Patreon subscribers.
I wouldn't, but I will anyways.
Start it off.
Okay, we got Crystal Lee Famalama Ding Dong. Thank you.
Next, we got Alabama Whirly. Thank you, Alabama Whirly. We appreciate you, girl.
That's when you take your dick and you swing it around in a circle, the whirly.
No, that's where you take your sister's dick and you swing it around in a whirly. That's an Alabama Whirly.
There you go. Janessa Flowers, thank you very much.
Alexandria C. Levins, because Rob skipped that one.
Oh, fuck me. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I will, but just give me a minute.
Anthony White. Thank you, White Anthony.
Randy Ramon. That's Randy with an I, not Randy with a Y. That's Randy with an I. Thank you, Randy Ramon.
Lisa Trombley.
What a fun last
That's
name.
so fun.
Corey Rape. Thank you, Corey Rape, for your Patreon. Corey Drake. Thank you for your Patreon pledge.
Callie Large, thank you.
Julie Reed. Thank you, Julie.
Ooh, is that Rachel?
It's Rachel.
It is. Rachel Lathrop. Thank you.
She's a butt chugging all star on the closed group.
She is.
Next, we have Nick Ardito. Nick Ardito, thank you. I appreciate your parents naming you after me. That's pretty fucking cool.
Heather Hovey, thank you.
And last but not least, Anastasia Marie Artistry.
That's a fun last
That's
name.
a majestic. She must be a fucking mermaid queen or something.
Right.
If you would like to join us at the beginning of the episode and get your shout out for $1, go to patreon.com/Brohio podcast. If you'd like to join us for our bro talks,
Which we need to start doing more of those.
go for the $5 tier there. You get some stickers, maybe.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, no, you'll definitely get some
Yeah,
stickers.
you'll get them eventually.
I hid this article from you this week.
Okay.
I have two things to talk to you about.
Okay. I feel like I'm in trouble.
You're not in trouble at all.
We need to talk.
Just let me do one good cough real quick, if that's okay.
Go ahead. Let it loose.
I hate doing that, but God, it won't go away.
I can hear it, man.
It says a man is accused of having sexual contact with his pet cat and injuring the animal. And according to court documents, this may not have been the first time he allegedly had sex with the feline. On March 20th, police received a call regarding a man who had taken his cat into an apartment unit's bathroom and called out for help, saying the cat was stuck on his penis.
Oh, my gosh. Poor pussy.
I'm about to break this pussy in half. I'm going to take her in here to the sink. I'm going to let her throw up while I smash it.
Oh, gosh.
Poor kitty.
Poor thing.
According to the police report, an officer at the scene near University Drive and Lindsay Road said the defendant refused to open the door to the apartment. When the officer gained entry, he observed the defendant naked, standing in the middle of the bathroom with a cat partially wrapped in a towel placed by his genitals.
Fuck. No pun intended there.
Jesus Christ. Police stated the defendant, identified as 40-year-old Michael Navage, immediately began saying he was only drying his cat off. Officer, this pussy was soaked and I needed to dry it off. According to the officer at the scene, during my investigation, one of the witnesses told me he heard what he thought was a cat in distress. He heard the defendant in the bathroom yelling at the cat and calling the cat a whore.
No way.
And telling it to stop moving. It says telling it to stop expletive. So I'm assuming he was telling the cat to stop bitching. It's the only expletive that I can put there. Like,
Do you imagine you're raping a cat and you tell it to stop bitching?
no, my favorite part, they called it a whore.
Stop bitching, you whore.
I seen you that tomcat out in the alley, you little fucking slut.
I know you like it. Don't you dare act like you don't.
According to the officer at the scene, I already read that part, Navage denied having intercourse with the cat, saying it was impossible for him to do so.
That's why he got stuck, buddy.
Not true. During an exam, a veterinarian noticed superficial wounds to the cat's anal area. X-rays indicated the feline had suffered previous rib and pelvic injuries, which are consistent with a larger object. Well, good for him, I guess, being inserted into the orifice. Lavish told the investigating officer that he had the cat since it was a kitten, and he loves the cat.
Oh, God.
He was all fucking hyped up on meth is what it was.
That explains everything.
If you've ever tried methamphetamines, write us an email, brohiopodcast@gmail.com. Let us know if you
fucked your cat afterwards.
If you fucked your cat.
Or your dog.
If it felt good enough that you kept on doing it, if you kept coming back.
Man.
This guy, he thought it felt good.
I would assume so. Poor little pussy.
Would you have sex with a cat for a Klondike bar?
I'd do some crazy things for a Klondike bar. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I'm really big into ice cream sandwiches right now.
Dude, those are so good.
Yesterday, my wife took me to Second and Charles. You ever heard of that place before?
Yeah.
It's a really fancy. Well, it's not fancy. It's in a fancier area of Dayton. Mm-hmm. Not that many of those exist. So she's like, you got to go check this place out. You'll love it. And I said, well, all right, let's go check it out. So we go there and we walk in. She's like, just get lost, sweetheart. I'm like, what do you mean?
And they have a ton of like Stranger Things.
They have a ton of everything.
Harry Potter stuff, yeah.
She said, just get lost. And I said, all right, that's what I'll do. I'll fucking get lost. I start walking around and I'm noticing all the cool stuff they have there.
Mm-hmm. It's like fucking Narnia, man.
They have everything. There's aliens and just all kinds of stuff that speak to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a really good time just walking around. Start looking at the magnets. And there's like a mentally handicapped gentleman. He looked like he was probably 40 years old there with his mom. And his mom's like, you got $20 more. Pick out what you want. And he's just like staring at the stuff. He's obviously had some severe issues. He might have been like autistic or I don't know what it was. I don't play that game of making fun of people like that. And he was next to me and he was looking at the CDs, like the clearance CDs right next to the magnets I was looking at.
Right.
And he started like growling. And I was like, okay. So I took a step away, kind of gave him his space. And this old man that was like next to us, it wasn't with him and wasn't with me. The old man's like, why don't you fucking stop, you fucking slob? And yelled that at the fucking kid. And listen, I like to fucking fight. Like I will fucking drop fucking knuckles right now and fight with cunt. People. And I was like, and right as I started to like I was like coming at him. Like I was going to fuck this old man up. I was going to fuck him. I was going to take his belt out.
I was going to fuck him.
And put it around his neck. And I was going to fuck him. And I was going to whisper in his ear, you fucking like that, you old man, piece of fucking shit. You piece of mother picking on fucking people.
You like that whore.
I was going to fucking I was going to fuck him. Okay?
Yeah.
So before I could even be like, started like, I didn't know what I was going to say.
You were hulking out.
I was just going to spit on him. This hipster dude that works there, works at the cash register, looks like he's on the 401k. He's been there for a long time.
Right.
He's like, fucking, and he puts his finger up my chest. And he's like, you don't fucking talk to him like that. He's a fucking regular. You have some fucking respect for people like him. And I was like, that fucking guy over there said it. It wasn't me. I will fuck everyone up standing right here. And like, I was like, I'm not. Like, I got a fucking prison guard on. I'm like, I'm not the fucking one. You don't fuck with me. It was that fucking guy over there. And the old man's like, I said it. And then the hipster's like, you can just leave. How about that? And I'm like, yeah, go. And I'm like getting mad,
Yeah.
And dude, I was fucking hot. And I was like, why did you think I said that? He's like, I still think you said it. And I was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? So then I go to get my wife.
Like, who do you think you're fucking Charles, man?
Yeah,
This thing's your fucking store.
I'm like, I'm getting out of here. Or I'm leaving. So then I walk over to my wife and she's like, how's it going? And I wanted to tell her all about it, but I didn't want to get all heated and get her upset and the kids. So I'm like,
yeah.
I'm ready to go whenever you are. She's like, you don't like it? I'm like, oh, the prices are high. And the prices were high.
Yeah, they are.
And she's like, oh, well, let's keep on looking for a little bit. I'm like, that's fine. I got to go poop really bad. I get hit with a really bad fucking shit cramp. So I go to the bathroom to poop. I don't like pooping in public either.
Yeah, I love it.
So I go in the bathroom. It's completely wiped out. Nobody's in there.
Yeah.
Free range for the delicious Nickalicious. And I sat down on the toilet. And before the poop could even come out, I'm like, I got to fuck this place up.
This one's for the GM, man.
This guy fucked me up. I'm still like hot, red, splotchy.
You're thinking the most angriest shit ever.
Well, there was a trash can in there, like a little bathroom trash can. And I'm like, that's what's going down. I pull it over, and I'm not a good free throw shooter, so I squat down. on over top of I do the hovercraft over top of this trash can. And it's hard to do, like, you know, you got like the claw video game where you line it up back and forth over the SpongeBob stuffed animal and it comes down. I'm not good at lining the butthole up over the trash can like that.
You're like every other player that's not in the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah. So I'm like, I feel it just like, you hear it start coming out. And, you know, it makes that noise, but it's creeping out. It's like,
right.
It's your skin ripping or whatever. Well, I have some big ones. It's my skin ripping. So I hear it coming out, and it doesn't stop. I'm like, man, that's a long one. They deserve this. They have this coming, though. They really have this coming. And I feel it cut off. I'm like, fuck yeah. And I wipe my ass, and I turn around, and it's just like laying over the side like a dead snake. Like 4 inches of it's just like hanging on the side of the trash can, and then the other like 15 or 16 inches inside the trash can, curled up like a cobra ready to bite someone. And I'm like, yep, job well done, Nicholas.
Should have left a note for him.
Oh, it gets better.
This is for hipster John.
It gets better. I can't even fucking believe I'm telling the story. I was so mad, dude. Not to poop so bad. So then I'm like, I opened the lock on the door and I start to walk. I'm like, no, I can do better. Closed the door and locked it. And I picked up this trash can, you know, and like, you know, the Price is Right where they put the balls under the turtle shells and they move them back and forth.
Yeah.
I fucking took that trash can and flipped it upside down real fast and like cut the turd in half. Took a big old
poop knifed it.
Took a big old gravedigger monster truck shit right in that trash can and flipped it over like I was playing hide the ball. So someone went to clean that up, and they walk in like, oh man, someone
fucking stinks in here.
Someone pooped.
It's defecation, man.
I didn't get any poop on me at all.
Oh my God, someone defecated in the toilet. I mean, in the trash can.
And like, you know, a little bit of it's hanging out of the trash can, even when I flipped it over. And it all was, so there, if you just take that game on The Price is Right and replace the ball with a big old chainsaw shit.
With a turd hanging halfway out. Why does this trash can have a tail?
And it smelled so bad. Just, I don't know how many times I've said it. There's nothing worse than someone just like, and you know, mashed up shit. Oh, I'm so sorry for all this. I am absolutely sorry.
That's a good one.
But that was my day.
Well, for the guy to even say he still thinks it's you when the old dude said he was the one that said it.
He was just as
like,
heated.
well, fuck you too, buddy.
He was just as heated as I was. So
yeah.
You know,
I don't know. That's hilarious, though.
Live to tell another day, I guess. Lived
that poor toilet. I hope they put it out of its misery.
No, I didn't get any poop in the toilet.
I mean, not the toilet.
Right,
why do I keep saying that? The trash can.
Yeah, that trash can needed to be taken out to pasture for sure.
Just burn it. Ceremonial fire.
And when I flipped the trash can over to trap it underneath there,
yeah,
I like stood there and held it for a second, like this turd was gonna like start bucking and knock this fucking trash can off the top of it. Like this trash, like it was gonna start, you know, fucking shake. I held it for like 6 seconds.
Oh man,
just to make sure that like I was completely expecting like to let go and just all the poop come out of the side of it, you know, like
just explode.
But it didn't. It survived.
And God bless that poor little trash can.
You've made it 15 minutes into the Brohio podcast. This is what we're here for.
That was a pretty good story, though.
I do these things just so I can come tell you people about it.
Worth it.
I fucked him up with some poop, for sure.
So worth it.
This week, Saturday, we're going to be the Dayton Podfest.
Oh, man, I can't wait.
Dayton Podfest on Facebook. Check that out. $10 a ticket. It's a workshop. We're going to teach you how to do podcasts, teach you how to do really bad podcasts. We're going to have about a 35-minute set with the gentleman from Conspiracy Theory Thursday, another local Dayton podcast.
Our good buddies.
We're going to be the Murder and Such and Gym City Podcast.
A lot of fun people there.
Fast forward to April 6th, 2019. We're going to be with Hillbilly Horror Stories, Bishop James Long, and We Drink and We Know in Louisville at Khalil's for a live show.
I can't wait.
There's a so we're going on the tour afterwards, the Waverly tour. They opened up a 9 o'clock tour. We are going on that one. So we're going to be able to intermingle with the 8 o'clock tour people and then the 10 o'clock tour people. We're going to get the best of both worlds. We're going to be in the middle because we love being in the middle.
We love being the cream in that Oreo.
That's what we're going to do. So if you would like to join us, come join us.
Feel free.
Yeah, come join us.
We'll be there.
I don't think there's any more tickets available, so just show up. We'll let you in. Fuck it.
Who cares?
We got your back. This is a Patreon-sponsored episode coming from Cody Owen. He picked a really good topic. Like, we always tell people, if you're picking a topic for us, pick something off the beaten path, something cool, I liken this to Carrie Joe Alexander picking the Tri-State Crematory for her episode.
Oh, yeah.
Just something off the beaten path. He's like, what about the Loomis Fargo robbery? I said, I have no idea what that is.
Sure, let me look into it.
And I looked into it. It's the true story behind the movie Masterminds. I said, that's fucking sweet.
This is the white trash success story right here.
It's a very white trash success story.
So white trash.
Before we dig in here, I'm going to pause and I'm going to save.
Okay.
I think we should interview him real quick, get that out of the way,
Okay.
and then do the episode.
All right.
All right, we're back from the interview with Cody.
Good one.
Good interview. Fun.
Good man.
So we're going to get into the actual episode now.
Finally.
Not angry shit stories. So we're covering the Loomis Fargo robbery of 1997. On the night of October, I'm going to skip this part because I'm going to take this part out.
Okay.
So I'm going to skip it.
Very anticlimactic.
This story centers around one David Ghantt. You might have seen the movie Masterminds. This is the true story behind the Masterminds script. Okay, now David Ghantt was working anywhere between. He's just a regular security guard. Well, an armed car guy.
Yeah.
He's working 75 to 80 hours a week. Way too much.
Yeah.
At about $8.15 an hour for the Loomis Fargo Armored Transport Company in North Carolina, Charlotte. Right, it was just right outside Charlotte.
Gone and raise up.
Now, he was not happy with his life, right? He was...
$8.15 an hour, who would be?
I ain't getting out of bed for
Right.
$8.15 an hour.
Well, that is 1997, so it's a little bit different now, but still, that's like, what, $11 now?
Maybe, yeah.
I'm not guarding an armed vehicle for $11, $12 an hour.
Maybe wherever this took place, I'm going to
Maybe.
think about it.
I don't know.
Now, he was... this is really unsettling for me as well, because... It's just like a dead-end job, fucking no wages.
Right.
He just wants something more. But the most unsettling part for me is they're trusting you with hundreds of millions of dollars every week. And all they'll come up with is $8.15 an hour. You can suck my fucking balls is what you can do right now.
Yeah.
They would oftentimes talk amongst themselves in the break room, but they were never serious. But they would talk about like, what if, We always talk philosophically at our job as well. I work in a place that we would probably be okay during a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the first place I'm coming when the zombies come. We always talk about philosophical shit like that, stuff that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And these guys, they would talk in the break room. They're like, what if, one day we just decided to wipe the fucking vault out? What if we decided to take, there's millions of dollars in there. And you got these fucking sister cousin fucking retards that are in charge of all this money driving these armored trucks. And you're trusting them with these millions of dollars every day. But there was safety, there was precautions in place. There was things to keep them from doing shit like this, from just wiping the place out. But at the time, this was just a pipe dream for them. The place had many security cameras in place that would prevent this type of activity. They had hundreds of hours of CCTV. They had locks, hundreds of keys, mandatory 2-employee teams. There was all kinds of stuff like that going on. There has to be a set protocol.
Checks and balances.
To do something like that.
Yeah.
And it would take even the most skilled con men in the entire world. It would take them immense planning and preparation for them to even come close to pulling something like this off. Maybe. Just.
Or maybe just a couple NASCAR fans.
Just maybe. The problem with this job was that David Ghantt speaks about in his interviews, they were really, really short-staffed. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be the problem with a lot of places around here. Just today, the fucking Steak and Shake down the road, booming business every day. Worst service in the entire world.
Horribly bad service.
Shut it down because they can't get people to work there.
Yeah.
People don't want to work for shit wages anymore.
And deal with drunk people coming in at 3:00 in the morning.
Coming on the tables. I did that and they're like, can you just leave? I'm like, yeah, don't arrest me. I fucking left. Whatever.
I saw a guy get tased in there one night.
That's fun.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah. Good times.
Now, this ended up being one of the largest heists in American history. And speaking of heists, the one we're covering here was the second largest heist in American history. I'm going to tell you about a couple other large heists that were pulled off in American history. In 1990, 2 men pulled off a $200 million heist. Whew. God damn. They were in police uniforms. The two entered the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston, Massachusetts, and stole 13 paintings. There was Rembrandts, Degas paintings, and Vermeer. Today, it would be valued at over $500 million.
Jeez.
There's been a $10 million reward placed on anyone that can assist with finding the paintings or finding the people that committed these acts. And to this day, that bounty is still out on those paintings.
Jesus.
30 years later, the paintings are still fucking missing.
Ugh.
What do you do with something like that?
That's what I was going to say. You can't. You'd have to
from-
black market sell it.
It would
'cause-
but who in the black market would want that? I guess if you just had an infinite amount of money and you wanted a fucking Rembrandt hanging up in your
mom's
foyer,
basement.
you would do something like that.
Yeah, that's weird because you can't just hawk it on Facebook Marketplace.
eBay.
Right.
I sold something on eBay this week. It was pretty seamless, so maybe that's
Yeah.
But this was 1990. The next one took place in 1997. This was the Dunbar Armored Truck Depot in Los Angeles, where this was an $18.9 million heist. The largest ever cash robbery in the U.S. happened in 1997 as an inside job. Alan Pace, a regional safety inspector for Dunbar, along with 5 friends, took over guards and loaded the loot of $18.9 million into a truck. God, balls of motherfucking steel.
That shit has to be so heavy.
The thieves are caught when one used some cash he used the cash, but he left the wrapping around the cash that said where it came from. Since then, the FBI, IRS, and LAPD have recovered approximately $5 million from homes, cars, and other valuables purchased by the group.
So there's still 13 million unaccounted for.
Yeah, it's out there.
They
somewhere.
kind of did a good job getting it back.
Now, David Ghantt, the guy we're talking about, he was a Gulf War veteran. Thank you for your service, David, if you're listening. Fucking dumbass. And he never had a problem with the law before. I'd imagine it would be hard to get a job like an armored truck driver if you had a sketchy background.
Probably got to be pretty clean.
But he was a Gulf War veteran, and there was a female that he worked with at Loomis named Kelly Campbell. At the point of the heist, she was a former employee, but David was particularly fancy of
He was pretty enamored
Kelly.
by her.
He loved Kelly.
And she was a looker.
If you watch the movie,
She's a dime piece in the movie.
she is a dime piece. In real life, she looks like a fucking trucker.
Looks like Mama June.
Oh man, she's fucked up in real life. She's walking out of the courthouse in combat boots and blue.
She kind of looks like Eileen Wuornos a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's not good. Definitely not something I would want to get tangled up with.
Yeah, she's like everyone's sloppy aunt.
But he was having a lot of problems at home. You know, he had a wife named Tammy. In the movie, her name was Jandis, and like he farts on her, and he's like, "Damn it, Jandis," or she farts on him, and he's like, "Damn it, Jandis." But in real life, David's wife, her name was Tammy. Tammy would fucking bitch at David about smoking inside the trailer. She wasn't giving him the love and the tug at home. She was kind of not paying any attention to him. Kelly was kind of working her way in there. She knew that there was possibly going to be a criminal element to this later on, and that she would have to possibly use David. So she was giving David all the attention he wanted. She wasn't fucking him, I don't think. According to him, they weren't having sex, but she would slip him a little bit of weed every now and again because that's the thing. They're in
What a good girl.
they're in North Carolina. She would, throw him a little bit of marijuana.
I bet it's some nasty skunk weed too.
I bet it is not very good. But he just wanted something more, and they started talking about this, and I guess the understanding was after they pulled this heist off, they could live happily ever after. And of course, she would tell him anything that he wanted to hear just to get him to do whatever.
Exactly.
Not a lot of women. Women aren't normally like they don't tell you things to get you to do things. To get. It's not how women operate. Okay, but in this instance, that's what happened. And if you ask Kelly Campbell, she would say that there was no relationship. She'll deny it to the fucking grave that there was nothing going on between them two. But David, he was kind of sweet on her. So Kelly, she was good friends with a local crook that she went to high school with by the name of Steve Chambers. He wasn't the worst criminal known to man, but he did have some financial issues going on. He recently was wanted for passing around $30,000 worth of bad checks in the local area.
Good for him.
She chatted up with Steve at a barbecue about the guy named David at work she could probably get him to do anything. David had keys. He had keys to the vault. He was trusted, and she knew that Steve was kind of like he would portray himself as kind of like a criminal mastermind. That he was
He had the know-how.
Yeah, if anybody can pull this off, it's gonna be me. But he didn't have a bad plan. That's the thing. And even the FBI during their interviews, they're like, they did a fucking good job, but they just didn't do that good of a job. Now, Steve saw the ease of the plan going off without a hitch and started to express interest in the plan that David and Kelly often dreamed about, but never had the nuts to pull off. But it eventually happens. Kelly pitched the idea to David, and with how pussy drunk David was. No. So she says, David, what if, you decided to help me out and get some money out of here? And David, he's just enamored with Kelly. And he says, I might think about it. Maybe there's something in it for me.
Sounds like a good idea.
I might do it. I want to lick your butt.
I only make $8 an hour. I don't got nothing to lose.
I want to suck your dick. I want to suck your dick real good. But the catalyst for David, of all things, not Kelly, he opened up his credit card payment, because that's how the credit card came back then. It didn't come via the email. It came in the mail, and you tear that motherfucker open. And he saw the minimum payment on his fucking credit card. And he's like, God damn it. Shit. I ain't going to be able to do this shit no more. I'm going to file bankruptcy, rob a goddamn bank. I don't know what I'm going to fucking do. So he said that was for him. That was the catalyst for why he pulled this off. And now we have I have David lined up on the YouTube here. Let's hear his official word here.
All right.
I've been working at Loomis Fargo for 2 years. They didn't pay very well. I worked with Kelly quite a bit, and we'd always talk about how we were frustrated about how our lives were going. We were barely getting by, working lots of hours. And when she came to me with the suggestion, it just kind of seemed like the thing to do.
You get the sense that he always felt that he deserved more, that he should have been someplace else. He should have a better life. He's smarter than this. He's better than this. So there's where the disgruntled side comes in.
Those are the FBI agents you're hearing from there at the end. But he just thinks there's something more for him out there, and you can't wrong a guy for feeling like that. There's I don't know.
I love this guy. I don't know. I can't really say anything else.
That's the thing.
He's so likable.
He's very likable, and that's the problem with all of it. Is he's likable.
He's a romantic.
He's very romantic.
I'd rob an armored car for you, baby.
You give me a little bit of marijuana, and I'll do it. But like we said, the catalyst was the credit cards. He saw these fucking credit cards, and he said, I've had enough of this shit. So let's get on to the heist itself. He's on board. She's on board. So you got your main players here. You got David Ghantt. He's driving the armored truck. He's the trusted employee. You have the former employee, Kelly Campbell. She's the love interest. And then you have the outside guy, Steve. You can't even remember his fucking name. You just got Steve. Steve had a wife named Shelly as well, and Shelly would become a huge part of this. So
I just like thinking about anytime like with this that I see the word heist, I just automatically expect it to be super exciting, like guns firing, cars fucking speeding. Just the heist just sounds fun. I want to be involved in a heist, but not get caught. You heard it first.
God damn it.
Tell me a heist doesn't sound fun though. The movies make it look so exciting and action packed.
You just fucked yourself so hard.
In reality, it's probably just you're just shitting your pants the next couple of days. Like, oh my god, I hear cops. I'm fucked.
Oh god,
they know it was me.
You have no idea. I have some stories to tell you.
Let's do a heist.
Let's do one tomorrow. I have nothing but time.
I'll just go steal shit from that Steak and Shake that got shut down.
Love them milkshakes.
Just go in there and make us a couple shakes.
So we go to the evening of October 7th of 1997. Around 6 p.m., David was nearing the end of his shift. He had someone there training with him because, like we said before, there was a big employee problem. They couldn't keep people around for $8.15 an hour, probably less than that. He'd been there for a while, so he was probably making more than someone starting out. They're probably making
$6,
$6 an hour, something stupid like that. And he was a supervisor. He was kind of like a shift supervisor type deal. And he had a person there training with him. And at one point, he propped open the door to get back into the building. And he sent the the trainee home. He said, "Have a good night. We're done. You can get the fuck out of here. Go home, watch some NASCAR. Do what you do, player. Get the fuck out of here." And after the trainee left, David doubled back and he started to pull off the second largest cash heist in American history. And have you seen the movie before?
No, I haven't.
All I can think about is Zach Galifianakis in like short shorts and fucking Timberland boots.
I knew he was in it, but I haven't seen the movie.
Throwing money in the back of a van. He immediately, he talks very candidly about, he studied the FBI, what they would do, and he had a pretty good idea about what he needed to do to make this go off without a hitch. And he knew that he needed to eliminate as much evidence as possible. And then whenever he was done making the heist, he needed to create as much distance between him and the FBI as humanly possible. And at this time, there was no alarm. And then the people that would come in the next morning, they wouldn't know about it until 12 hours later, essentially. So he was going to have a good head start and be able to get away from the FBI. So he had a good plan. He was very detailed about what he needed to do to circumnavigate the FBI. One of those things was he went straight into the manager's office and starts ripping out VHS tapes, because that's how these closed circuit cameras were recording.
Right,
was on these VHS tapes. So he rips out the VHS tapes. So there's no
evidence, no crime.
No evidence, no crime. They can't see him piling up all the cash. At this point, there's nothing stopping. His life's going to change forever. There's tens of millions of dollars that were in the vault. He didn't know how much, but he knew that there was enough money in there to change his life forever. The plan was for him to load a company van with all the cash, and then he would follow Steve. And there was another guy there. I think it might have been Eric. But Eric's he's not much of a player in the story, but Eric was with them. They would leave there, and then they would go to another warehouse somewhere 10, 15 minutes away.
Men's warehouse.
Men's warehouse, right. And they would distribute the money amongst one another when they got there. But since there would be no doubt amongst the authorities who committed the act, David would have to go into hiding, Mexico to be exact. So when the authorities first got there, they're like, all right. They kind of thought that he might have been killed or robbed at first. They didn't necessarily think at first, he's our guy. But the plan was Kelly would skip town with David, and they would get on a jet, and then they would go to Mexico before the authorities could ever think about catching up with him. David substantially and grossly underestimated how much money was in the vault and how much strength it would take to get all the money into the van. There was nearly 3,000 pounds worth of cash in the vault.
Over a ton.
And he had to move all of it by himself.
Literally a ton of cash.
Oh, yeah.
Almost 2 tons of cash.
There was like Rob said, there was over 1 ton of cash present. He loaded up the van by himself. And then after he was, this kind of gives it away, but I'm not.
Goddamn, Kelly, this is heavy.
Oh, shit. I was in there piling up all this. I didn't realize how much goddamn money there was. Son of a bitch, my nuts hurt. So he loads up all the cash and he meets the other guys outside. They proceed to the print shop. The print shop is called Reynolds & Reynolds in Northwest Charlotte, where they move the money to their personal cars and a rental budget truck. I also have another little clip here from David where he's talking about the day of the deed. So let's bring him in real quick.
All right, bring him in.
The day of the robbery came, and I'm on my way into work, and I'm still got turmoil. So I'm flipping through the radio, and I get to this song, take the money and run. Okay, I'm going to take that as an omen. So I just went forward with my day, and I sorted out all the money I wanted to take, put it off to one side, added up how much it was going to be. I called Kelly at lunch and said, it's going to be about $18 million. The difficulty I had moving such a large amount of money, because it's mostly in 20s and 50s. It's a stack about that high, about 9 feet long, and weighs over a ton. Quite a task for one person to do. Took me almost 2 hours to load it all. Next thing you know, I was driving out the door with a van full of money. I was heading from Fargo to I-85, and I knew quite a few of the Charlotte Mecklenburg police at the time. And I saw one of the guys I had met, and I'm like, man, just keep driving, just keep driving. And I saw him turn around. I'm like, oh no, this is bad. He knows this van. He knows we're not out this late. Suddenly, he just pulled off to the right and went somewhere else. I'm sweating, shaking, nervous. I was probably the most alive feeling I've ever had.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's...
I mean, listen to him. He just sounds so likable.
He does sound likable.
I want to hang out with this guy.
Now, the point where he's throwing all the money in the back,
Yeah.
you'd probably be able to drive a piece of coal up my ass, and I would shit out a diamond.
2 hours worth of loading fucking money
Just
into a
constantly
van.
looking over your shoulder, dude.
Man, that's-
looking over your shoulder, waiting for it to happen.
That's such a long time to like think about it. I mean, like most people like they break into a place and it's under a couple minutes and it's over. This guy was doing this for 2 hours.
2 hours.
Jeez,
That's completely fucking
that's
miserable.
wild.
Now he gets they get to the warehouse, and he parks the truck, or I'm sorry, he parks the van, throws the keys inside, and he fucking books it with Kelly. He doesn't even want to be there whenever all of the cash starts getting torn apart. The plan was for him to take $50,000 and cross the border with it. So that's all you can take over the border to I guess at that time, without having any trouble brought to you. You could take $50,000 over the border, and that was going to be enough for Kelly and David to kind of live on until Steve could get everything ironed out. Because Steve's not going to be a suspect at this point. The suspect is going to be David,
Right.
and maybe a little bit Kelly, maybe not. So they know that David has to completely separate himself from the FBI, and Steve, he's not going to be a suspect, right?
Yeah, because you're gonna know that he's the main one that has access.
Yes. So the plan was, once they got everything ironed out, Steve would start wiring them money to Mexico until everything kind of quieted down in the United States, and then they would eventually come back to the United States once the investigation was kind of declared that it was maybe a fucking cold case or whatever.
Yeah.
Almost immediately, David and Kelly, they booked it to the airport and didn't hang around to help unload. At some point, the van got locked, and the key ring David provided for them had over 100 fucking keys on it. So he just fucking books it, and he leaves them with this key ring with 100 keys on it. And they have no fucking clue which key opens up this van, and they're at this warehouse. So they start beating on the windows, and they start trying to rip the doors off. It's a fucking armored van.
Armored van, yeah. Good luck.
It wasn't working. Eventually, they finally, I guess, it took a long time. They finally tried every single key on the key ring. And the second time back through the keys, they finally figured out which key unlocked the doors, right?
Oh, man.
And at this point is when we will reveal that David, during his haste before the heist, when he's ripping out the VHS tapes and going to town, there was a third VCR recording everything in the warehouse that he didn't rip the VHS tape out of.
Oops.
So they come in the next morning, and they can't, I don't remember exactly. I'm getting ahead of myself. They left $3 million in the van because they fucking couldn't move it. It was mostly $1s and $5 bills. This is where Michelle, or we'll call her Shelly, this is Steve's wife. They knew the best thing for them, because they towed the line of being criminals.
Mm-hmm.
But they knew the best thing for them was to lay low and not spend the money to kind of hide their fortunes. So this is a fucking mess at this point. They finally got the van unlocked. They get all the money. They separate it. Steve kind of has control of most of the money, but he divvies it out. So Kelly, she's on the run with David. Then you got Michelle and Steve. They got most of the money. And then the additional guy there, Eric, he got some of the cash as well. But before they head to the airport, they, I can't even fucking, these guys are so fucking stupid. So like I said, I told you about how they would wire the money back and forth. The whole time that they're heading towards the airport, David thinks Kelly's just going to sail off in the sunset with them, and they're going to hide out in fucking Mexico. They had to make a cash diaper along the way, filling the underwear completely full of cash and stuffing his boots completely full of money. Then Kelly revealed that actually, I'm not going to go with you. You're going to have to go down by yourself so I can help get things ironed out. But here's David talking about the fucking cash diaper.
That night, got into the truck with Kelly, and she had some pantyhose and some duct tape, and we made an impromptu money belt. The amount of money I had on me was around $55,000. I had my wallet jam-packed, and I had it in my boots. I had it everywhere.
He thinks this is enough because he...
So, in one interview, he's like, good thing I got big feet because he got it stuffed in his boots. He's got it stuffed up his ass. He's got a big old cloth diaper.
He just sounds so happy telling this story.
I think he's proud.
It's like, I love this dude.
Yeah. Well, they get to the Charlotte airport, and this is, they could have at least done the solid along the way and got David a fucking airplane ticket.
Get him a ticket.
Running to the airport. But they didn't even do that. They just booked it to the airport, and they show up, and they're like, "We need a flight to Mexico." And Charlotte's like, "Are you fucking serious?" Like the airport's like, "We're not going to Mexico. We don't fly to Mexico. We're not." I guess, not every airports work. They only fly to certain countries.
Right.
You can't just you can't go down the road to the airport and say, "I want to go to Germany." And it doesn't work like that. You have to go to a certain airport that flies to Germany. But they say they go to Charlotte, and Charlotte airport says, Atlanta flies directly to Mexico. Maybe you can go to Atlanta. So they have to hop on a Greyhound bus to the Atlanta airport where he would fly to Cancun, Mexico. And all this time he's kind of upset because Kelly reveals, she's like, "I'm not going with you. You're going by yourself." You fucking hillbilly. He made it abundantly clear during his interviews that the guy he rode next to on the Greyhound bus completely reeked of shit. The guy fucking stunk. Nervous as a fucking whore in church.
Some of us can't wear cash diapers, so it's...
He got $55,000 stuffed up his ass up his fucking ears.
I'm sure he had some shit stuck in his butt too, though. Having all that money on him.
For sure.
Fuck yeah.
But he did make it to the Atlanta airport, and he made the flight without a hitch at that point. This is pre 9/11 too, so
yeah, it was the wild, wild west at this point.
Things are a little bit different.
Definitely.
The next day, the Loomis and Fargo company, they had to call the police because they couldn't open the vault. Also around the time, Tammy, David's wife, we haven't talked about her very much, and he fucking hated her. She reported David missing at this point. The police show up and immediately notify the FBI due to this all being this being bank money. This becomes a federal crime. They were quickly on the tail of David because the absolute best angle in the entire warehouse for his actions was the only tape he didn't remove. So there was all the tapes he's yanking out only filmed like little small portions of the warehouse. And there's one camera that filmed the entire warehouse, and he didn't fucking pull
That's the one he didn't pull.
And I guess they're watching the video. They're like, just like with their jaws on the ground, like, "Oh my God, this fucking guy." And they get
just 2 hours of footage of him loading up a fucking van.
They get to the final couple seconds here where he's done loading everything up. He closes the door, and they just watch this motherfucker like jitterbug dance for like 5 minutes. He just celebrating. He's like fucking raising the roof and tearing the fucking house down. Oh my God. Now, a couple of days later, the FBI agents located the missing Loomis Fargo van that was used in the heist. It had over $3 million in the back of it they couldn't unload. Also, were the two tapes that David took. Steve made sure that he left them out in the wide open to immediately... This was a direct act to get the FBI off of his own trail.
Smart for him.
So he left all of David's fucking videos in there, and the FBI is like, "No, fam, we don't need those. He already fucked himself."
That's how you could tell a criminal from somebody that has a clean record.
Jesus Christ.
They know what they're gonna do.
They also located David's personal truck, which was abandoned in the warehouse parking lot, which still had his wedding ring in it.
Ooh,
How sad is that? He said,
very sad.
Shove it up your fucking ass, Tammy.
I'm going to Mexico single.
I'm tired of you, Tammy. The other night when you were giving me a blowjob, I fell asleep. Started thinking about fucking you and it made me sick, so I just fell asleep.
That would be that'd be a kick to the ego right there. Falling asleep during a BJ.
Oh, my wife falls asleep all the time when I'm giving her a BJ. Oh, so it didn't take long for them to connect the love interest because, employees talk. When they see you going to lunch with somebody, they see you kind of smitten over someone, people are going to know. So the other employees immediately started chirping. They're like, you might want to check out Kelly because he wanted Kelly bad. Now, Steve it wasn't as easy to connect him in this plan. You all right over there?
Yeah, my phone just fell out of the chair.
So it wasn't as easy to connect Steve to this initially, but at first they didn't think that Kelly was, guilty. They just, they thought that she might know something. But they interviewed Kelly. She came across very nervous, but they couldn't quite nail anything to her. They couldn't nail her to the wall quite yet. So she didn't do a very good job of hiding it, but she did a good enough job where like, okay, she might not be involved. She might not know anything. And she did a good job of not going out right away and blowing all of her money and kind of keeping them off her path, her trail there. Meanwhile, in Mexico, David, he's living the fucking high life, buddy. He dyes his fucking hair. In the interviews, he says, and Rob heard it earlier. He's like,
yeah.
Well, if there's one thing you need to know about dyeing your hair, you better read the box. He said when he dyed his hair, he left a big brown fucking streak in the middle of his forehead. And in the movie, Zach Galifianakis, he doesn't dye his hair. He just adds like a fucking 7-foot-long ponytail on the back of his head. He's got this big curly mop. And immediately when he gets there, people start talking like, oh, senor, that looks like the guy that robbed the bank in North Carolina. they know that.
Gringo with brown hair, with brown forehead.
So he goes back and he cuts his hair and does some other shit. But like I said, he's doing fishing trips. He's going parasailing. He's going to luxury bars. He's scuba diving. He's buying boots.
Get it, buddy.
He's doing all this stuff.
$50K, man.
All this fun stuff. And the coolest thing he realized that he didn't have to shop at Walmart anymore, too. That was one of the first things he said.
It is.
Whenever he got there, is I don't go to shop at Walmart no more. Here's him talking about his first few days there in Mexico.
I've never really had that much money in my life. I'd always been lower middle class, just a working guy. And it took me a while to break away from going to Walmart, which is funny. Bought a nice watch, nice shirts. I was enjoying shopping for a change. Kelly and Steve were spending lots of money. And in a small town, people just don't go from a double wide to a mansion.
So there you have it. He's laying low. Well, he's not really laying. He can do whatever he wants because he's in Mexico. He's separated himself. But all they needed to happen was for Steve and his wife, Shelly, and Kelly, they just needed them to fucking lay low for a while. Just not go
Don't be
crazy.
stupid.
All they had to do was just stay out of the way for a little bit. This could have been the perfect fucking crime, Rob. They could have just like sailed off into the sunset and stacked their cash.
Yeah, because, man, at this point, it was just, it was all David.
It's all David. They have no idea where he's at.
Yeah.
No idea.
They have everything linked to him. I mean,
I wonder how long I could make $55,000 last in Mexico if I could.
well, if you're parasailing and fucking doing all this shit, it's probably not
caviar out of strippers' butts and shit.
Right.
It's not going to last very long. A week, the temptation was just too much for Steve and his wife, Shelly. They said, we got to spend some of this fucking money, babe. I've been
burning a hole in their pockets.
I've been wanting to buy the mellow yellow NASCAR for about 25 fucking years now. Drive that car right up your butt because I know how much you like big fucking race cars up your ass. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to take the number 44, drive it right up your fucking ass, and I'm going to drink mellow yellow out of your fucking pee hole. That's where I like to drink mellow yellow from. A week after the fucking robbery, Shelly, Steve's wife, walks into the Mount Holly Bank and asks the teller how much money can she deposit without having to fill out any government paperwork.
Red flag, red flag, red flag.
The teller says, "Oh, you can deposit about $10,000 before we have to report it." So what does Shelly do? She gives her $9,500, and when she does it, she says, "Don't worry, it ain't drug money." Stupid fucking bitch.
Oh gosh.
So they shortly thereafter they start depositing. They make small deposits here and there. Well, not small. $3,800, $5,000. They start making all these different deposits. They started opening up safety deposit boxes in all of their family members' names at different banks, different places. And they start stacking cash in all these safety deposit boxes. But the red flag there was whenever the feds were alerted for the $10,000 transaction at the bank, especially with her walking and saying, "Hey, bitch, can I put in before you call the fucking cops?" Well, bitch, I'm calling the cops if you deposit $3 because that's how that works. That's how the fucking bank works.
Yeah.
In early November, Shelly went to the bank and got a cashier's check for $200,000. The money she got out of a fucking duffel bag still had the Loomis and Fargo wrapping around the cash.
Oh my God. It's like, for real, come on.
She's just flaunting it. She's like, "I'm a bad bitch now. I ain't got to worry about bend over and lick my butthole." A week later, Steve and Shelly, they bought a brand new white convertible BMW Z3, paid cash for it, living in a double wide trailer.
Oh man, you gotta love stupid.
So they're doing all this stuff to alert the feds.
They just like all their notions of laying low completely went out the fucking window.
They could have won.
Oh, definitely.
Now, Shelly, she would go shopping at luxury boutiques and tell everyone her husband owned casinos in Atlantic City and he had some laundromats in Texas. And if you're trying to pass yourself off as a millionaire, one of the things you don't say, "Oh, my husband owns laundromats in Texas. That's why we're fucking rich. We got a garage full of fucking quarters back there. Y'all can come back there and play video games for days." That's what we do here at the Brohio podcast. We play video games for days.
Yeah, I don't think there's such thing as like a high-end laundromat, so you kind of know what you're getting into.
You got to find a good way to launder the money. Watch Breaking Bad. They had a car wash.
There you go.
That worked for them.
Yep.
She splurged a little, just a little bit more. She bought herself some fake tits, Shelly did. She said,
"Good for Shelly.
I got to give me some fake tats." I think she was around 25 at the time. It didn't take long. Their lavish lifestyle was just too big for their double-wide trailer they were living in. They said, "We ain't going to live in this fucking trailer no more." They found their dream home on site of Kramer Mountain, 503 Stewart Ridge. The place was huge, 7,000 square feet of a fresh start and fine living. Marble foyer, wet bar, wine cellar, enough bedrooms for their kids, a sunken master suite with fireplace and jacuzzi. Steve and Shelly paid $635,000 for it and called the fucking movers.
They had like 4 pieces of furniture to bring into this big ass house.
That's what the movers said in the interview. The movers like, "Well, they didn't have much. They took like a big screen TV and a couch is all they took." They're like, "We don't even know why they needed a fucking moving truck. They didn't have anything." But they tipped us $50 and bought us Wendy's.
They're just lazy as fuck. They don't want to take the 1 car trip to load their shit off.
So when you buy a house, there's people, there's investors out there, and you buy a house, you pay cash for it. You show up with a cashier's check or some type of certified funds, or you get a loan for it. You go through a title agency, you get a fucking loan for it. Yeah. This guy shows up with a fucking duffel bag full of $20 bills, and the attorney's present, and the closing agents are like,
$650K in cash.
Hold on a second. This is not how this works.
Something about this seems off.
Oh, so they move from a little to nothing from their double wide, leaving most behind. They leave Steve's cousin behind, who was moving into the trailer. So they abandon this trailer. They tell Steve's cousin, like, "You come on in, Pop Squat. It's your fucking trailer now, bud. We're rich."
Nice. How nice.
And when it came back to there was barrels at the back of the property that the movers had to move. Like, they got this big screen TV and this dining room set, and they got a bunch of barrels in the back. And Steve's like, "Oh, the barrels are full of dog food." I don't even know if they had any fucking dogs either. That's the thing. Oh.
That's just what Shelly likes to eat.
So they move the barrels were completely stuffed full of cash, but they moved this stuff for him. And part of his money laundering scheme, one of his original ideas was to invest in Cuban cigars. So he thought he could buy $200,000 worth of Cuban cigars, Steve did, and he could flip this over to around $3 to $5 million in profit. He buys this super fucking fancy $20,000 humidor to store all these Cuban cigars. The one thing you need for fucking humidity is moisture.
Of course.
You put water in the fucking humidor. He did not put any water in the humidor. So a few days later, they're like, oh, you want some Cuban cigars? They go in there. All the cigars are rotted. They're all completely gone. $200,000 worth of Cuban cigars. He doesn't even know how to smoke them. They're gone.
God, that sucks.
So there's his first money laundering scheme up in smoke. Every Friday after the kids would complete a fucking week of school, they would celebrate with a pizza party. They would bring over all their friends.
It's Pizza Party Friday, guys.
Hey, you boys, you got D plus there, Matt. We're gonna celebrate. Come here. Oh, fucking your sister back there. I liked it. We're gonna eat some pizza off each other now. So they'd have pizza parties for all the local, all their friends from school and all their cousins and shit. Shelley was infatuated with cheetah and zebra prints. They put the shit all over the house. They bought a thousands upon dollar velvet Elvis painting.
Yes, I saw that.
That they hung up.
So fucking weird.
I want a velvet Elvis.
I know. I did. I think they had like a, was it like cheetah skin carpet going up the stairs?
Yeah.
So they like completely like white trashified this.
They did.
This $500,000 mansion.
They bought this huge expensive painting of a bulldog dressed up as, George Patton dressed up as a bulldog. And next for their money laundering scheme, they bought a furniture shop and sold everything it costs. So they bought this furniture shop from this older couple. So they also got all of the accounts that came with it. So this older couple, if people got backed up in their payments, they understood. They're like, we'll give you a couple more weeks to get everything caught up. As soon as Steve and Shelley got this furniture business, they completely flipped all the past due accounts over to attorneys, over to collection aides. They said, no, fuck it. You guys can go fuck yourselves.
Yeah.
So they're buying this furniture and they're literally selling it for $100 more than they're buying it for. That's not how you run a furniture business.
No, not at all.
It said you buy something for $800, you mark it up to $1,500, you make, 100% profit.
Yeah.
They were selling everything for at cost. And the people watching from afar, like the old couple that used to own it, they're like, well, we guess they don't need any fucking money, because they knew how much this furniture cost. And they're still seeing it. So people are starting to scratch their heads at this point. The neighbors, at their new house, the neighbors, welcome in, like, oh, where are you guys from? What are you doing? Steve says, I'm a fucking football player. And the neighbor said, oh, you play for the Panthers? He said, no, I play for one of the northern teams.
He couldn't even name a team.
Oh, Jesus. I play for the North Dakota Oilers. I don't know who I fucking play for. I robbed a bank.
I play for the Redcoats.
I robbed a goddamn bank. I play for the Bengals. Oh, you suck, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure do.
I don't want to play football no more. So he also, the neighbor, they got she got a $43,000 ring, Shelley did. One of the first things that Steve went out and did is he bought a $43,000 ring for Shelley. And they weren't quiet about it. He would boast, Steve would joke around. He would say, I need to get my wife insured for her to walk around with that big old ring. God damn it.
What a fucking asshole.
They would just gloat in everybody's face about all this newfound fortune and newfound money. They didn't fucking care, man. Kelly Campbell, his love interest, the one that kind of talked him into doing all this, she handled the money a little more discreetly, we should say. Her husband Spanky.
Of course.
Oh, God. If someone's like, what do you think Kelly's husband's name was? I'd be like, Delbert. And they'd be like, no, one more guess. I'd be like, Spanky. And like, yeah, it's Spanky. You got it.
The next part's the best one, too. It falls right in line.
Her husband Spanky, they've been poor most of their lives. He landscaped and trained coon dogs. That was his fucking MO. That's what he did for a living.
Oh, man, this is like white trash paradise.
This one right here, his name's Hercules. Watch how much peanut butter he can take off my nuts in one slurp. Hercules, come here.
Oh, shit.
Just don't give him crunchy peanut butter because it feels like shards of glass coming off your nutsack. After she got all her money, she paid for a Toyota van in 2 payments. So when you go to the used car dealership and they're like, you got bad credit, we can't help you out. But if you're like, I can pay for this motherfucker, I can finish paying this off in 2 weeks. They're like, all right, we can, you put, 10,000 down and say, I'll bring the other 10,000 in 2 weeks. They're like, we can work with you. And that's what she did. She didn't want anything fancy. She just wanted a Toyota van. But at Christmas time, she bought a shit ton of presents for everyone. Video games, bikes, stereos. Everybody was getting piles of shit for Christmas. And her mom is like, wait, where did all this money come from? And Kelly's like, if I couldn't do it, I wouldn't do it. Don't worry about me, mama. So her mom was, she was kind of suspicious at that point.
Naturally, which I would assume anyone's mother would be.
That's what all the hillbillies in town, they started to talk. The phone started ringing off the hook to the FBI as the suspects were pouring in. Kelly Campbell, Steve and Shelley Chambers, and Eric Payne were all of the main suspects. Eric Payne was the other guy that was present during the heist. And Chambers is Steve and Shelley's last name because I'm a fucking idiot. But they started to make all the connections. The FBI went through. They saw they had the connections with Kelly, and they kind of they observed what she was doing with her money. Then they started searching old high school yearbooks and making the connection there that she was really good friends with Steve Chambers. Steve Chambers had committed a lot of financial crimes here as of late. So they noticed the spending habits of Eric Payne too. Like his daughter had her 10th birthday party, and he still lived in a double wide trailer park, and he had a white limo pull up and pick up his daughter and take her out for steak for her 10th birthday party. He bought a brand new Harley and paid cash for it. Just being,
reckless,
filthy, dirty rednecks about it.
Reckless.
The FBI started tailing all of these people because, they had a hard time latching onto their trails because of how many people were actually involved. Because not only do we have Eric Payne and then Steve and his wife Shelley and Kelly, they have all the people opening up these safety deposit boxes as well. So they're at this point, they're like, God, how many fucking, it's like a super hillbilly that's got all, they're multiplying. They're like a fucking clown car. They're everywhere, man. So they don't know how many people are involved with this. They don't have enough resources to spread them apart to kind of to see where these people are going. Then one thing they had to keep in the back of their mind that Steve was actually a former FBI informant, so he might be hip to if they were able to get a narc or someone on the inside, that Steve would immediately be hip to it, that he would know what was going on. So they naturally, the first thing they do is they bugged Steve and Shelley's phone. Yeah. And it didn't take long to solidify their investigations from that point. The first morning of the bugged phones, February 11th, Steve calls Reed's Jewelers in the mall and asks about their most expensive Rolex.
I don't want that cheap-ass Rolex. I want the fanciest one you got.
I want the one that I can put up my butt and it feels real good. Shelley called interior designers and bragged about her ring.
Jesus.
They heard a phone conversation between Shelley and Steve, and Shelley expressing her desire for liposuction on her ass. Oh my God. This is what happens when you give people like this all this money.
I know.
I want you to come suck all the fat out of my ass. What if that's how liposuction works? What if there's like some poor guy at the doctor's office that just has like, there's always that crackhead you can get to huff gas for you, like if you try to siphon gas. Like,
yeah.
Come here and suck on this pipe for a second. What if there's some poor fucking ugly guy at the doctor's office that just have to slurp fat out of fat chicks' asses and spit it into a fucking trash bag?
I want you to slurp the lumps out of my butt.
Oh, no, Doc. Oh, no. This one tastes like she just took a big shit at Second and Charles, like shit in a trash can. I don't like her very much.
You see my butt? It looks like a balloon full of pennies. I just want it all smoothed out.
I don't like my butt. I want a nice smooth butt. My butt right now looks like a bunch of pit bulls fighting in a burlap sack, and my ass is all lumpy. And sometimes when I take a shit and wipe my ass, I can't tell if I'm wiping the lumps on my ass or if I've still got lump in my butt crack from where I pooped. And I want to get that even ironed out.
I want a nice pink butthole, too. This thing's got some miles on it.
Yeah, look at this thing. Looks like a mud track. Steve started talking about wiring money on the telephone. He starts talking about wiring money to secret overseas accounts and buying a nightclub. Cricket's, it was a bar called Cricket's. A bar was cash intensive, which that would be a good money laundering thing.
Yeah.
A fantastic place for someone to hide money, really. Now, Steve talked to a fellow named Mike McKinney about hiring him as a bodyguard. Steve would buy Mike a gun, rent him an apartment, pay him $400 a week. He could quit living at the Hampton Inn. Steve had Kelly take $500 to Mike, and she told Steve she'd like to get a tummy tuck. I want to get this fupa rolled back up into my pussy. I think that's where it fell out. Is that where a fupa comes from? You get kicked in the pussy real hard and it unravels like a fucking clown tongue. They all use their phones, but sometimes they wouldn't talk back and forth on the phones at their houses. Sometimes they would drive down to Wilkinson Boulevard to Nichols, a convenience store just across the Catawba River. As the world came and went, they used the pay phones right there by the front door. The feds tapped those phones as well.
They're going above and beyond.
Got
here.
you on knock, motherfucker. They were hoping to hear something about David Ghantt. At this point, they were doing a pretty good job of talking in code about David Ghantt, about the guy that they needed to wire money to, essentially.
Right.
They were keeping his name on the down low. For
God knows they weren't doing anything else in the down low. So I'm surprised they were doing that.
And I think the only reason they wouldn't speak of him is because I think if they knew they connected themselves to him, then the feds would be like, okay, these are the guys. But the feds had already made the connection at that point that, this is the people they needed. So by them not speaking David Gantt's name didn't do much, but they eventually got there. They, like we said, the feds tapped the payphone, and during the conversations, they heard that David, they didn't say his name, that he was thinking of moving up the coast a little bit, Kelly told Steve. Steve asked, how much does he got? And Kelly said, I don't know. She told Steve they would have to send somebody else to make the drop. So at this point, David's calling Kelly and they must not have had Kelly's phone bugged. But David is calling to Kelly and telling her, like, hey, I need more money. I'm running out of money down here in Mexico. I've done too much parasailing. I've done too much scuba diving and fishing. I'm fucking running out of money. And this pissed them off that he was asking for more money.
He just took 50,000. They have millions and millions, and he's the one that did all the work.
I really wanted to buy that fucking velvet Elvis. They're going to tear me up if I don't get that. The phone calls got very tense. Eric Payne and Steve talked about a guy they knew who was running his mouth about them and the vault job over in Charlotte. If the guy didn't shut up, Steve ought to shut him up with a good beating. But they didn't need that right now at that point, so they didn't proceed with the beating. The night of February 22nd, Steve pressed Kelly to come over and talk. He wanted to know where he was, and they don't know. The FBI didn't know at that point who he was, but I think they probably did know. Kelly said, I'm too tired. She would have to catch up with him the next afternoon. Steve said, well, call me at the furniture store. Immediately, he said he needed to know where to send his people. David Ghantt told Kelly he was in Cozumel. She said someone would be coming to deliver him money soon. And she also told David, she said, I thought being a rich woman would make me happy, but now I'm not sure. But before they hung up, David and Kelly, they said it to all the listening ears. They said, I love you to one another. So the FBI had that under their belt at that point. They heard Kelly talk to David, say, I love you, say he was in Cozumel. So at this point, Steve calls his cousin Nathan in Lincoln County. Nathan was the one that took over Steve's double wide, a few months before that. He asked him if he would be willing to go to Mexico to make a money drop. He told him he'd pay him $1,000. Nathan said he would do it. He just started a new maintenance job and he was living with his girlfriend and their baby boy. $1,000 was a lot of fucking money.
Naturally, yeah. I'd probably do it for 1,000.
So then they started setting up, a back and initially the hitman they were using was Mike. Now Mike was just some guy from the fucking Hampton Inn that they had caught up with. But Mike was going to be sent down to essentially whack David in Mexico. And the feds were catching wind of this, that, Steve had some really violent, there was going to be a bad outcome for David at this point. And they're starting to, get the feeling like he was sending someone down there to kill David. So they had to watch this really close. Steve started talking to Mike about whether he could get a rifle or, any type of a murder weapon down in Mexico. Mike said it would be pretty rough. I probably could, but it'd take me forever to get it. He also went on to say, I don't want you going in there. Steve said, I don't want you going in there and trying to do it and you not being able to do it. You know what I'm saying? These are the conversations back and forth between Mike and Steve. So Mike eventually gets to the point where Mike books his flight to Mexico. So Mike is heading down to Mexico. And I think at one point before this, Steve had a lot of questions for Mike because Mike had gone down there before this, I do believe. And when he went down before, I think there might have been a plan at that time for him to whack David the first time. But when he went down to whack David, they hung out on the beach and they became friends. Like they fucking became friends.
I don't want to whack this guy. I'd whack him off, but I don't want to whack him. He's a nice man.
We got in the car together. We drove on to the park. He looked at me. He said he needed some relief. So I gave him some relief. That's what.
Ooh.
But it all came to a stop on March 1st, 1998, 6 months after the initial heist. FBI agents caught up with David at his resort and took him into custody. Yeah, so he's at this point, he's fucking hit in the mouth. The FBI agents, they made the long track down there to Mexico. And this is David talking about when the feds finally caught up to him.
How we end up going to Mexico.
I was headed back to the hotel with my laundry over my shoulder, and car comes pulling up real fast. Guys come running up, and it's Mark Rossi.
And he said, "Please tell me you're an FBI agent." And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Boy, do I want to talk to you." And he said, "Listen, I know when it's up, and it's up."
On one hand, it was very, I don't want to say depressing, but Mark Rossi's not a bad guy, really. He was just doing his job. And we had a very long conversation, and I told him the whole story.
We wanted to know why Kelly. You know, what was it about her that really was the impetus to push him over the edge to do all of this? And we had no idea exactly what the relationship was. And he said, "You're not going to believe this, but I've only kissed that woman one time." And I remember turning to him and saying, "Turned out to be a pretty expensive kiss, didn't it, David?" And he said, "Oh, yeah."
I think Kelly felt bad about leading David on. As she explained it to me, she was high on marijuana the whole time. And she wasn't thinking straight. Although the FBI would say that if you listen to her in the tapes, she knew exactly what she was doing.
What kind of defense is that?
You don't just lose all fucking inhibition. It's not like you're not doing crack or
I would love to
heroin.
sit down and watch an episode of the first 48. This guy goes on a fucking drive-by and just mutilates 17 people. They sit him down for the interview.
I was just high on marijuana.
Why'd you do it? Listen, bro. I smoked me like 3 joints before this shit. I was fucked out of my fucking head. I was fucking gone, bro.
You got that purple stank wank.
I got that stank wank, that green purple nurple, that pink funk. You smoked that shit yet, bro? You know, they take the little trees when they don't smell no good in your car no more and they cut them up and they put it in that shit. They call it the Leon Neon. That shit will fucking light you up, bro. You got to smoke it with your dick. You ever smoke weed with your dick before, Rob Dog?
I'd like to try.
You ever smoked a dick before, Rob Dog?
I have tried that once or twice.
I'd like to try.
Oh, no.
Where do I sign up for that?
So at this point, David says, "I'm relieved that these motherfuckers are here to kick my goddamn ass."
I mean, get arrested or get killed.
Well, maybe, it's Mexico. I'll fucking they'd have shot his ass. The next day, Steve, Shelley, and Kelly were all taken into custody. On March 12th, 8 co-conspirators were indicted for the safety deposit boxes.
Got him.
So these family members, they were probably like, well, we'll give you $10,000 to open up this safety deposit box for us.
Right.
And the family members are probably like, fuck yeah. They all caught a fucking felony for the shit. There
got
was
charges.
only one person. I think there was something like 20 fucking people went down for this. There was only one person. So they all pled to deals. None of them are in prison any longer.
Mm-hmm.
They all pled to deals. The only person that pled not guilty was Steve's attorney. So his Saul Goodman pled not guilty. Saul could have got out of it.
Oh yeah, he could have.
But that attorney ended up getting like fucking 8 or 9 years of prison for embezzlement and money laundering and some other shit. He did hard time. Most of the relatives all got probation. Steve, he got the most. He got 11 years and 3 months in prison.
It's funny that he gets the most whenever David was the one that actually did the heist.
See what kind of guy? I think David didn't even do his full term. David was sentenced to 7.5 years. Shell, she got sentenced to 7 years and 8 months, which is more than David. And I mean,
in all fairness, he did only get 50 grand of that.
55.
Well, 55,
he had
yeah.
to carry across the border in a fucking diaper and ride next to a fucking stink bait on the way to the airport.
I think they realized that loading up 2 tons worth of cash was probably, and him only getting 55K of it was enough punishment.
Oh, so David's out now. He's like a bulldozer driver, a bulldozer operator now.
Yeah, good for him.
He's very transparent about all of it. There's a lot of interviews on YouTube and stuff where he's like, well, fucked up. Fucked up, bad.
My bad.
If I could do it all, bad, I'd do it all again. And he's got a wife now
That he doesn't hate.
he doesn't hate. They have a daughter, and I think their daughter's name's like Bellatrix or something fucking weird.
Yeah.
But he said, excuse me, sorry. He said the path that he's taken all the way up to this point, he said he wouldn't change anything that he's done because it has all led to him meeting his wife, his best friend, and having his daughter, which is the greatest thing that's ever happened to him. So he said he wouldn't fucking change anything.
He did say, the only thing I do regret is I never got to see Carly's titties.
I didn't get to suck on them titties.
I didn't get to see that and that liposuctioned ass.
I bet she had some real nice baloney nips. I like where the nipples can touch the chest a little bit. They kind of look like a banana. You got the nipples up there on the clavicle bone. That's how I like it.
Way up high.
I like when the nipples take up the entire fucking tit.
It's just a nipple.
Show me them nipple. Show me them boob. Show me them nipple boobs. Show me them boob nips.
Let me see them hairy areolas, baby.
Oh, yeah. Let me suck on them Tic Tacs. So that's the story of the Loomis Fargo heist of 1997.
Fun times.
Such a fun story.
It is. Nobody died.
No one died.
This guy was the least likable.
He was very likable. I think maybe someday we might try and catch up with him, see if he wants to chat it up on a Patreon or something.
That'd be great.
So next we have the interview with David Owen. I'm sorry, Cody Owen.
I was going to say, who?
He's the sponsor of this episode, Cody is. So thank you so much. If you'd like to sponsor an episode, go to patreon.com/Brohio podcast. I think our next Patreon sponsored episode is a Josh Kitchen, maybe, I think is what it is.
All right.
Yeah, talk to him. I think he wants, what's the guy's name? The guy I talked to you about earlier in the week. The really weird guy that does the black magic and the sex and stuff.
Oh.
Albus Dumbledore or some shit like that.
I don't remember the name.
I don't remember his
We'll
name.
figure it out.
Wild dude.
Brain fart.
Fun story.
Yeah.
So listen to the episode. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks. Take me a fat piss.
All right, we're here with a
Yeah.
Patreon sponsor of the episode, Cody. Cody said, I'm gonna fix he said I'm gonna hook you guys up with a good fucking topic. And he did.
Yeah, it was a good one.
How you doing, Cody?
I'm doing good, man. Up here for work, so I'm just spreading cheeks and beating meats. That's how this is going.
Oh, you're out of town?
Yeah, I'm actually up near your guys' stomping ground up here. I'm in Cincinnati.
Oh, shit.
yeah.
Yeah, not too far at all.
When I used to work on the road, I would fuck guys all the time. I didn't care I didn't care about anything.
The road doesn't change for us then.
They could only
No.
that's the only people I could get to talk back on Craigslist for guys. Casual encounters. I'm shopping for a washer and a dryer. They're trying to get their butthole licked from behind. My mom told me that's a bad place to shop for washer and dryers on the casual encounters. They don't have that anymore, though.
Yeah, that's gone. That's RIP.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you'd hop on there to be some 77-year-old woman flipping the bean. You're like, oh, God, no. Why?
God bless her.
Ouch, that's right up my alley. I don't know what you guys are about.
Right.
Now, Cody, you live in down south in North Carolina. Is that correct?
North Kakalaki, you got it.
North Kakalaki. My aunt called it that one time, but she was a fucking drunk and she did not shave her pussy. I saw that on the fucking. I saw that. I saw that. Well, I'll take you through it real quick, Cody.
since you're so eager to know.
I have this really rich aunt with no kids. She's a fucking bitch. When I was about 9 or 10, she invited my younger brother and I over to her hotel. She was visiting from South Carolina, and she fucking hated kids. So I had no idea why she wanted us to go there. She's like, I'm just going to take him to the pool, let him swim, Brenda. And Brenda's my mom. And my mom's like, all right, I'll pick him up about 4. So my mom gets there. Finally, we're in the hotel room, waiting for mom to get there. And she's like, oh, you guys have fun? I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. And then my aunt's all whined out in the bathroom. She's like, come in here, Brenda, and look at this. And as a 10-year-old kid, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go check it out too. And I walk around the corner. My aunt's got her fucking robe peeled back, and it looked like she had buckwheat and a leg lock, dude. She had a fucking this muff just everywhere. Curly 70s muff, just up to her belly button and down to her knees. What? And I'm thinking to myself,
have you ever seen a finer collection of pubes, Brenda?
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like,
I've been growing these for 70 years.
I know my dad makes my mom knock that shit off, But here we are. I'm staring my aunt's muff right in the face.
And that's how you became a man.
That's how I became a man. I told my aunt.
Maybe that's where it all stems from.
I said, lay down. I'm going to trim this up for you. I don't want to have sex with you. I want to fucking cut it.
I mean, that's why he keeps his wives looking like Chewbacca all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God, no. Well, Cody, thank you so much for picking a fun topic for us. This is an incredible story, something that doesn't result. No one fucking dies, and there's nothing fake. So
it's the amount of white trashiness is perfect for our podcast. So it's great.
Oh, dude, it's just it epitomizes the area that they're from.
Does it really?
It really does. Yeah.
He sent me a picture earlier today, and I was like, and of course the one guy was, and I was like, why does it look like just by looking at these guys, I can tell one of them was wearing a NASCAR shirt.
And he was.
He was
getting walked out of the local court, and he's got a NASCAR shirt on.
That's class right there, man. See, back in that area though, that's high class.
Yeah, exactly.
Now this took place in I don't even remember where it takes place. I know it's in North Carolina, but what part?
So it was like sort of southwest Charlotte, kind of near like the Gastonia area, Cramerton.
How far away from there do you live?
Yeah. I'm near the South Carolina border, so I'm probably about 20 minutes away.
Oh, okay.
It's not too bad.
So you know all about these fucking retards.
Yes, I do.
One thing that I was talking to Rob about is the guy that committed all these, shouldn't say the mastermind, but David Ghantt, the one that pulled off the robbery. He's really accessible. He's very active on Twitter.
He likes talking.
He's very reachable if need be. And I was like, you know what? He would probably be a good interview for this episode. But then I'm thinking to myself, every time we interview someone, we can't tear them up. We got to be nice and respectful of their story. We got to tear this motherfucker up.
Yeah, that's just not going to happen.
Just like I do a big old piece of man ass. I'm going to fucking tear it up. And
you can't tell the story and not want to tear him up. It's just so funny and it's too easy.
But he seems like the kind of guy that would laugh along.
Yeah, he does.
He does. I mean, he did such a good job tearing himself up. I mean, the whole thing was just ridiculous. Like his wife, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but his wife goes to the bank and she was like depositing small sums of money because it was like what they agreed upon.
Yeah.
And then one day she just goes in, she's like, hey, how much can I put in without you alerting the feds?
Right.
It's a joke. It's not drug money. And of course, like 5 minutes later, the feds are alerted to that.
It's so perfect. You can't ask for like a better, story than that right there.
It's completely magical.
Oh man.
And
I want you to know, like, from where I'm from, we don't tell each other like bedtime stories. We just tell each other that story.
That's all you got to do.
That's all we do.
One time when you were about 9 years old and your mother was still here and she wasn't on the methamphetamines. Is there a lot of meth problems down there, Cody?
Not as bad as you guys have it up
No,
here.
we have no meth. We have all
heroin. Yeah, we have all the heroin. Yeah.
No, yeah, we've got heroin down there too.
Okay,
it's bad here.
We have no methamphetamines here.
Oh, dude, no, it's crazy, man. Like, it's really bad. For one, the first time I was in Dayton was a couple months back, and I was driving through at night. I'm like, you know what? This sort of looks like a city. And then driving through during the day, I'm like, holy shit, is this New Orleans after Katrina? And it just blew my mind how bad it looked. And I get to the airport to fly out, and you guys have these like hoodies and like paraphernalia for like Dayton, Ohio. And it's like, who's going to buy that? Like, where are you going to go? Like, you're going to go home to wherever you were coming from. Someone's going to be like, what did you do in Dayton? And they're like, there was so much heroin. I thought I was in Paris. Like, nobody's going to wear that. No one's going to proudly wear that shit around.
Except for me, Cody Owen.
UD students will wear the shit out of that because it's kind of a prestigious school, but besides that, it's nothing really to write home about.
Yeah, I'm not trying to like rag on your guys' area.
Oh, trust me, you ain't gonna hurt any of our feelings.
No, we fucking hate you, dude.
And that is the end of this interview.
No, it's wild. Yeah, looking at downtown Dayton from afar, it looks really pretty, and then once you get into it, you're like, oh fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah, there's nothing.
This place is
dude.
sketchy.
Yeah, especially the east and the west side. Woo-wee. I know, but I go to other cities and I'm like, Dayton's not that bad. Like when I get lost in the bad parts of Cincinnati, my old job.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, God damn, what the fuck's going on down here? But you know, it is what each city has its bad areas.
You don't want to get lost in the Rhine.
No, you don't want to get lost and over the Rhine. Fucking disaster. Well, Cody, we would love, you know, one time, one of these live shows, we'd love to catch up with you sometime for one of these live shows, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be up in the area again, like 4 weeks or so for work, and try to make it out to one of these live shows for you.
Come to the Indy one.
That'd be killer.
Yeah. Come check us out in Indy.
I'll be the drunk fat guy in the background.
No, that's
me. That's because that's us.
I'm the fattest. No one can top my fatness. So, Cody, are you like? Have you had any paranormal experiences throughout your life that you'd like to tell us about at all?
Man, I like to think so. I'm not sure how much I really believe in it, but I will tell you. So, growing up in my house, I explicitly remember one time growing up, and I used to like take a bath in my parents' bath when I was super young.
You and your dad?
And how'd you know? Sorry, this wasn't really paranormal. I was actually just having sex.
Yeah, go listen to the episode from last week where I talk about seeing my dad's dick for the last time. Senior year of high school.
I remember that. No, yeah. I just remember being up there and like I called out because I was young, and I used to like call out to my parents to get one of them to come up for me. So I called out, and this woman comes around the side of the house, or just around the side of the room, and she's just yelling at me. She's like, "You're pathetic. You're never going to be anything. You'll never amount to anything." So I'm just crying, and my mom comes up, and I'm bawling my eyes out and like freaking out. And I kind of like let it go for years, and I told my mom about it probably like 2 or 3 years ago. And like her face kind of went white, and she was like, your father would never admit to this, but when we first built this house and when we were going upstairs, he swears he saw a woman walking up the steps. And like, he would never admit to this ever happening, but she, he confided in her that this had taken place. So I'd say that's probably the closest thing I have to paranormal. I'm not even sure if it was real, because again, I was young, so it used to be one of those things that like the kid's mind makes up.
My hair's standing up on my neck though, for real.
It is weird. Like I can still see her face, like the gown. And like growing up, man, I used to like run in the woods behind the house, and there was a plantation back there too. And we would find like all the old like trails and stuff, and all this old farm equipment just completely rusted and buried and treading over. So like I know there was stuff there when the house was built. And we used to find arrowheads too. So like there was always Native Americans around.
You guys used to bury hookers and shit.
Concoction. Yeah. Tell you what though, man, some crazy stuff though with the job I work at an airport, and you wouldn't believe some of the stuff that like I know, like a plane got well, not that I know, but that I've heard of, like a plane got grounded because a woman shit herself all the way back, which wound up costing the company like $100,000.
Holy shit!
It's like $20,000 an hour, and they had to call in like a third party to come clean this out.
Oh gosh.
There's like Area 51 planes, which is what we just call them. They're these unmarked ones that come from military bases, all the underground tunnels and stuff. It's crazy, man. I think that's like probably the most interesting thing I've got going on with me as far as paranormal conspiracy goes.
That's cool.
There's so much stuff we don't know about the government. It's scary. And me and Rob are so fucking stupid.
We believe it all.
I'm right there with you.
Believe all of it. We live in the hotbed of one of the hotbeds here near Wright Pat, where there's just so much questionable shit that's going on, that's possibly still going on, and I just eat that stuff up.
Me too.
Anytime I see a plane going overhead, I'm like, they got the fucking aliens. They're going out with them. They're leaving with the fucking aliens. They're sneaking them out.
Yeah, this really is a hotbed up here. Have you guys ever? I mean, I know you said you used to work security up there, but have you guys ever seen anything like completely out of the like something that you've seen like in the sky, maybe like UFO or anything like that just really made you question anything?
I have. When I was riding to the prison one day, I think I've told this story before, but I was riding the motorcycle. And I was right there in Middletown on I-75 going south. And I looked up because I saw something in the sky. I'm like, It looked like a plane. It looked like a stick, just like a stick in the air. I was like, man, that's a weird looking plane. And it wasn't like there was no traffic around me. So I looked at this thing for a few seconds and I said, that's a odd looking aircraft. You know, that's probably something coming or going from one of these Air Force bases. Clear as day. It was an aircraft. It was up there. It wasn't a figment of my imagination. It wasn't a cloud. I saw the shit sure as day. And I looked down, I'm like, I wonder how fast I'm going now that I haven't been paying attention. I looked down, I checked my speed. I'm like, oh, I'm good. I look back up at the thing to see it again. Completely fucking gone. Not a cloud in the sky. The sky's completely blue. This thing just vanished. It went nowhere. I look all around me. I get off the exit, the stoplight. I completely turn around, look at the side. I can see for hundreds of miles, you know? Nothing.
That's probably just one of those Middletown crackheads flying a kite or something.
It's the leprechaun. It's the leprechaun.
Yeah, I would have left brown streaks down the highway visible in space from that.
And I got to work, and I'm just like, guys, you're not going to fucking believe it. And the way I am, anytime I tell a story, people are like, all right, let us hear it. Just let them tell the story.
They already know what's coming.
You'll be quiet for the rest of the day. Let's hear it, buddy. And that's how things work out for me. So. Now, you guys, have you had any UFO encounters at all that you know kind of jump out at you?
No, I haven't. That's something I really want to though, because I so firmly believe in the existence of extraterrestrial life. I mean, I feel like it'd just be ignorant to think that something out there doesn't exist, and I so firmly believe in it. And I've never had an experience.
I want to be fucked in the ass.
That's what I was gonna say.
So bad.
I just want to go camping one night out in the middle of nowhere and just lay there with my butt spread open all night.
It would stink so bad.
Just wait to come take me.
The aliens come down and be like, no, and then go back up. No.
They just never come back after that. Turns them off of humans and back up. They're like, no, don't get back to that planet. They all smell like shit.
Like, is this the best you have to offer?
Yeah. Wait till I got a really special poop story for you in the beginning of this.
Oh my gosh,
episode, Cody.
It's so good.
Oh, wonderful! I'm so excited.
I
live for that. I look forward to it.
Oh man,
every week.
I had a really horrible experience at the bookstore at the beginning of the week.
So. It's a really good story.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
This is gonna be my entertainment on the flight back. And then just start laughing like an idiot in the middle of a quiet flight.
Well,
good times.
Well, Cody, thank you so much for sponsoring the episode. Sorry it took so long to get to you. We got a fucking line down the street, but here we are with you, buddy.
Hey, that's a good thing. That means people care and they want to support.
Yeah, and you picked an awesome topic. Most people rise and they're like, can you do Albert Fish? I'm like, yeah, we've never fucking done that. No one's ever done that one before. How about 9/11? Like, we're gonna get to 9/11 probably eventually.
That's a big one.
But God damn it, everybody's fucking done that shit.
Or just stuff that, like, even if it's something that it would be interesting, it's like there's just not enough substance to it to, justify a whole episode. So it's good to have a fun one like this thrown out.
My daddy's like, what y'all do an episode on number 3 going into the wall. That shit was fucked up. That's not how true crime works, Dad.
Yeah, I know you guys like doing stuff that's not like completely covered, and I don't like it. I think I told you earlier, I don't listen to too many podcasts, so
yeah, they all suck.
I don't really know what's been. Yeah, everybody except you suck.
Thank you.
No, we're included.
Everyone that does a podcast is a fucking loser. So. Kidding. Do you have any questions for us before we leave you here, Cody?
I don't, man. I do just have one thing to say though. Like, I really appreciate you guys doing this. Going back and forth. I've had some surgeries, and I've got another one coming up this Friday, so it's been really good to like get these like laughs in and stuff. Now I'm having butthole surgery, and that's not a joke. Like, I shit you not, I'm actually having butthole surgery.
Man,
which at my age is crazy. And so I've had so many men in my ass and just like
keep it tight, man.
Oh no,
dude! Like, you see, like I get like bent over on the table, and like Dr. Gorilla Hands comes up.
Jesus
and you're just
Christ!
looking at it, and you're like, that's just not gonna fit. And I always think to myself, I'm like, man, what would the bros from Brohio do? Like, in this situation, I'm just like, I'm like, they would reach climax, and so that's exactly what I do.
Is this a cosmetic surgery, or is this like a life and death type thing?
No, since I don't care, my life's an open book, and now everybody else is gonna get to hear this. No, I just had a tear in my GI tract, and that shit's getting fixed finally.
Ooh, is that like you poop too hard, it tears the pipes open?
I would like to think so, but no,
Okay.
apparently not.
Okay,
Apparently, there's just nothing that causes this.
Fisting.
It just
A fork in
happens
your
to
ass
some
will do it, though.
That's
Like if you're in Cincinnati,
Sporks from Bojangles, actually.
if you're in Cincinnati, you can go to Hustler Hollywood, and they got this rubber fist. It stands about 4 feet
Oh
tall
my god,
off the
it's
ground,
monstrous.
and but they have the starter model that's more of like a lazy handshake. You can start there, and if you don't want to do the fist,
It's a handshake for your asshole.
yeah,
It really is.
go check that out while you're here. Let us know how it works out. Write us an email, brohiopodcast@gmail.com. We'll appreciate it, man.
Definitely. I'll make sure to send you videos of it.
Hell yes. Thank God.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much for
Thank you,
making
man.
time for us and supporting us. You're a fucking killer guy. We like it.
Appreciate that.
And you have my phone number now, so make sure you put it on Twitter and hashtag BrohioPod. If you don't fucking do that, I'll burn your fucking house down.
Thanks, man.
All right, guys. You have a good night.
All right,
You
take
too,
care,
man.
buddy. Bye. What a fun guy. What a fun guy.
Him and his poor little butthole.
That thing's. Did he have to come to Cincinnati?
I think he said he came for work.
Okay, I didn't know if he came here for his asshole surgery.
Of all the places to go for your asshole surgery. Going to Cincinnati to get my asshole worked
And he's
on.
talking about all the bad areas of Dayton and stuff. Is he getting his asshole reconstructed in a back alley in Dayton, or wouldn't that be awful?
I know people that'll probably do it though.
I think I could probably do it. Come over here. I think I can do it. All right. Well, that's the end of this episode, even though we haven't even recorded it yet.
Yeah. So thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening. Yeah.